Hey guys, this is James, and you can see we have a very special guest today, and you might be able to tell from some of the owl paraphernalia around here who it is. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Char. I'm a tea blogger at Oolong Owl.
Yeah.
And I'm new to Seattle too. I've been here about around a year now.
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure of knowing Char pretty much since she moved here, and we have tea now and then, so her appearance here is long overdue, in my opinion. So if you're not familiar, you should definitely check out her blog. Lots of very regular content. I actually went back in the archives to see when you started.
Oh, no.
and your first post was January 12th of 2013, and TeaDB was April 12th of 2013. So our sites have started almost at the exact same time, so just a few months apart, and we're both still at it, so good stuff there. So, Char, why don't you tell us how you got started with tea?
Well, I've always had tea in my household, so it seemed like a regular transition. My mom drank a lot of tea. My dad was a big Trekkie nerd, so he drank a lot of Earl Grey with Captain Picard, TV all the time. And I started drinking a lot more during university, because it seemed definitely cheaper than drinking coffee, and a little more pleasurable to drink. Then I got more into it when I was doing counseling work in Canada. It seemed more of a chill activity to sit there and drink tea with people in like a group counseling setting than getting coffee and everyone going crazy.
And how did you end up getting sort of sucked into the online community that we're both kind of a part of? Because it's I
think it started definitely because I moved from Canada to Los Angeles on a visa. And I was waiting for a green card, so I had shit all to do. And then now I was in the U.S., and America has awesome cheap tea shipping.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because I remember ordering from Canada from Asiago, and it was freaking $30, and here it's nothing. So I just slowly started to order more. Then I'm like, I like to review stuff because I'm not doing anything anyways. And I kept reviewing stuff on Steepster and websites.
And who were some of the first tea vendors that you were introduced to? For me, I cringe when I think of.
Yeah. I think Asiago was an early one. David's Tea, I remember when they started up.
David's Tea was for me as well, one of the first online orders.
David's Tea is bigger than Canada.
Yeah.
I remember before Teavana was in, I think it used to be Teatopia and Tea Desire, if they're still there.
Okay, so you did this, you started your blog in 2013. When did you start sort of ordering online and well, I guess
just about 6 months prior.
Okay.
Because that was around the time I moved to the U.S.
So I guess you can really see, and this is the case for TeaDB too, you could really see sort of the tea drinker evolution, especially early on in the blog. You started out drinking a lot of flavored teas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And occasionally you still do a review of flavored tea or two here or there. But is it something that you regularly drink now, or is it
not often now?
Okay.
It's definitely my old stuff I do not like looking at anymore. Is definitely a lot more flavored teas. I did do a lot of straight oolongs back then too, because that was kind of stuff my mom drank, so I was used to it.
Yeah. And obviously enough to name your blog.
Yeah, exactly.
Start, so,
I don't drink flavored tea as much anymore. Sometime, maybe about a year ago, I used to drink more and drink it in the morning, a Western cup. That's pretty easy to do now. It's just, I'll just grandpa style everything. So it's whatever now.
Yeah. So I guess one thing that I think about as a tea drinker and sort of is when we started out, we had all these episodes, and I never really drank pu'er when TeaDB started, and now I'm kind of known as a pu'er person. And so you're drinking these teas, and then you develop an audience, and then the audience wants to see certain teas that they like. So for us, it's we filmed a few episodes on Japanese green tea, and now continuously we still get requests to do it, even though it's I drink Japanese green tea once or twice a year. It's hardly at all.
No.
So have you found that happening?
Yeah, I think I had a few people request for David's Tea a lot still. I guess I still have old Canadian readers, and some of my older stuff was a lot of that too. I had a lot of requests for the Advent calendar last year.
Okay.
I was that is painful, so I did it all Instagram, and it didn't really do that well, so I don't know. That's just the people that are more vocal want, more of the stuff I don't seem to do as much.
Yeah. I think it's a real challenge as a tea drinker. It's like you're sort of trying to balance, or a tea blogger rather, you're trying to balance like what you think your audience might want to hear versus like what you want to do.
Yeah.
But if you like for me, it's like when we go back and drink Japanese green teas, it's kind of like we're winging it. It's like not totally there as far as like my passion.
Oh yeah,
and
so
it's like
I imagine definitely readers can see it too, because I've had a few comments where I did Japanese green teas, which isn't my thing either. They're like, I just like looking at the pictures. I know you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't write about this anymore.
Yeah. I think Jeffrey of Steep Stories and stuff like that commented once on one of our Darjeeling videos that he found it really cute when we did Darjeeling, because
Definitely with the
totally messed up the brewing and we're winging it, and it's like we probably should have read the
Well,
instructions.
it's good with
online.
as a tea blogger communities. We all talk, so a lot of people.
Exactly.
I redirect everything Japanese green tea to Ricardo at My Japanese Green Tea. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, follow him. Don't ask us to do Japanese.
You can
green
ask
teas.
me about matching. I'm just gonna give you a yes or a shit answer. So
yeah. So let's see. I'm looking at some of my notes here. The owls. What like if you go into your house, your blog is obviously the Oolong Owl. But if you go into Oolong Owl's house, I've been there a couple times, and you go down into the basement or the lower level, I guess, where you have a lot of your tea stuff, and there are a lot of owls down there.
oh, that's a parliament of them.
There is a giant basket filled with owls. If you dig far enough, you can find, I think, a satanic owl in there.
He's Darth Owl.
And stuff like that. And there are, like, giant ones from, like, TJ Maxx. Can you explain?
I'm, like, definitely a knick-knack type of person.
Okay.
I like owls. On the side job I did is I do have designed them and crochet my own stuff. I mostly do a lot of lace knitting, too. But, yeah, I have a lot. There's more you haven't seen.
And is this like a big thing? I know that you crochet a lot of these and make a lot of them, and you sell some.
Yeah, I sell some. Some people like have colors. It's kind of dependent when I have time, or if it's like I have like a rotation. There's some guys that I always have in my crew. Then there's guys I'll make, and then they'll cycle out, and I'll sell them off.
Okay. Is that like a big part of your blog, or is it kind of like a small
side project?
Thing? Okay.
I would do more, but it's really time consuming.
I bet, yeah. Okay. Well, if you go there, then there are plenty of owls just around the tea table, as you might expect.
I know I had someone comment, is it kind of creepy when you're sitting there and you see a million little eyes staring at you when you're drinking tea?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's kind of like you have someone there. You know, a lot of us drink alone, so
yeah, exactly.
It's something.
Drinking alone with our tea pets.
Yeah.
It's the classic Westerner dilemma. Another thing that you do on your site that I actually really enjoy because it hits sort of the spot for me is you do your yearly tea stash reports where you just talk about how many teas you have. And if you guys don't know, as people that write about tea and drink tea, we get sent a lot of tea.
Oh, yeah.
And saying no is often a good thing to do.
Yes.
What's the latest? So how is your stash doing?
I believe it's 642. I still need to update because I got stuff this week.
Okay.
So I do keep track of how much comes in, how much I drink, and how and how it came in, like if it was for blog or if I bought it, or it was, a gift or a swap or something.
And do most of them come in just like from tea vendors wanting you to send stuff to review?
Yeah. A lot of tea vendor stuff. I've been buying quite a bit this year. Not as much as before, but it's definitely when I buy stuff, I really want to have it.
Right. And how often so you probably get sent a ton of stuff from tea vendors. Like, what is your process for sort of like deciding what goes on, what doesn't? It's like, how many would you, you review a lot of things. I'm sure some of them you purchase, some of them you get from vendors.
In the beginning, I said pretty much yes to everything. That definitely kind of collapsed around 2015 because I just had way too much to deal with. And a lot of stuff I knew that I wasn't going to ever write about.
Right.
And then around 2016, I'm like, no, this is it. There's no guaranteed for reviews. And I say I'll know a lot. There's stuff where it's like, yeah, I want to drink this. I know this is something that metric-wise my readers like. And I think I know about enough to write about. So there's a lot of no's going on. And then when I get it in, I do a kind of a cycle, shove it in the same spreadsheet, and kind of drink a bunch of stuff for a week, then flip over and do a lot of editing for a week and post stuff. And I definitely found when I was saying no a lot, doing stuff I want to do, I know my readers are asking about, has definitely made my content a lot better. So
Okay.
I find my stuff like this year, I'm very happy with what I've been producing and writing about.
And it's stuff that you like to drink.
I like to drink, and I know like my readers like to read it. I think as far as I can tell.
Right. Yeah. I can relate to a lot of those points for sure. So if you had, let's say, you were sent 20 teas, how many would you say actually you end up writing about?
Well, it's kind of tricky because tea vendors are really awesome. So there's times like they'll ask me something like, "Hey, what do you want to drink?" And I'll pick out like 2 or 3 I think I'll like, and they'll send like 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of difficult for me to do when I plan for 2 or 3, and now I have 10. So we'll maybe do up to maybe 5.
Okay.
Unless they sends me something really cool, then I might do all of them.
So if you really like it, you're open to doing a lot of them. But if it's all garbage or it's all stuff that you don't want to drink, then maybe none of them.
And it happens too. Like there's stuff where it's like there's a few teas I'm very particular I don't like to drink. Like ginseng oolong is probably number 1. I hate that stuff. And then someone like they might indicate, "Hey, I got ginseng oolong. You want to try it?" I'm like, "No, I do not like ginseng oolong. Do not send it." And they'll still send it, thinking I might find theirs magical, and I don't. It's kind of, I imagine you get sent really random stuff too. Like
I guess the process for us is fairly similar. I think most people that actually watch or can even just look at an index of the videos and have some idea of what to send. And I've actually found that we get sent less and less stuff over the years, probably because there's only a certain amount of vendors that are very serious about poor or other categories that we're interested in. So I have a bag that I just chuck everything that I'm like not interested in. And usually when I get a box from a vendor, and especially if it's like a lot of teas, it's like a lot of those teas will just instantly go in that bag, and I will give them away to friends and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's just reality in the sense of like getting so many teas. It must be very difficult to, I appreciate the diligence of your blog and your work in terms of just logging everything. I usually don't even bother to log the samples of stuff like that. Yeah,
my count includes samples, even if it's like an 8-gram sample.
Yeah. And do you try to finish those off pretty quickly?
I try to. It depends. Like, pour is lucky because I could just leave it. Yeah. Everything else, not so lucky.
How much of that, and usually when you do those posts, you have sort of like a breakdown of like, this percentage is poor, this percentage is
I have like
this.
A pie chart on the spreadsheet. I think I'm at like 160 raw pour, and like 110-ish right pour.
Okay.
Like it's... So I got a lot of oolong and a lot of black too.
Okay.
That's the other big one. So I think raw pour is my biggest one right now. It's a really easy one to accumulate a lot of.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like the pours, that's almost half of it right there.
Yeah. And then green tea I have very little of. It's pretty much just all matcha.
Another thing I enjoy, another type of post that I like a lot from your blog are the tea festival and the event postings. And you've done a number of those. And they're just like a really nice write-up, a lot of pictures. One thing that your blog, and we were just talking about this before we hit the record button, is that you do a really good job. I think maybe the best job of all the tea.
Oh yeah, I love writing those.
Integrating,
they're fun. Yeah. I think my favorites are definitely the World Tea Expo. Those are like crazy long, 3-day, all-day tea festivals. That's just really fun to like go through and write about. I used to do them like post that night of, because a lot of people like who couldn't attend really wanted to know, but that's just really tiring, so I don't do it anymore. Yeah,
sort of the live blogging, I can, for me, I know that would hamper my enjoyment of the event for sure. I
think the difficult part with those is just like the photos, because like now when I get to the event, I go around everywhere, do all the photos, and then enjoy myself at the festival and take a few photos, because eventually the photos get so blurry. So you've had so much tea at this point, you're just kind of like, oh, shoot.
And what do you like most about these festivals? Because you seem to really enjoy them.
It's like, I don't know, like, every time I go to them, I see you guys, other tea bloggers, other people I met, or the readers that come up to me. So it's definitely become when I first started out, it was more like, hey, there's just a lot of tea, so I can buy all this tea and try different things and learn a bunch of stuff. And now it's become more of like a networking and a social thing, which has been really interesting, because I've heard that from bloggers that were been around long before me, that they always treated the expo like a social event. And I was like, what are you guys I'm talking about? I'm here to work, right? I'm here to like show everyone else what it's like to be at these things that are only industry only. To now it's like, oh yeah, just hanging out with everyone and making bad jokes.
Yeah, I guess for me, the only tea festival in this area, I think, is the Northwest Tea Festival, which actually just happened about under a month ago, actually.
Beginning of the month.
Yeah, beginning of October. And for me, it's definitely a social thing, walking around and hanging out with people. And I'm not one of the people that walks out there with a huge filled up bag of tea.
Everyone recognizes you, though. If you go to the tea festival, they're like, hey, it's that guy.
Well, people, maybe if you walked around with owls, people would know who you are, but people know my face from the video. So you like the festivals mainly as sort of like a social thing.
And it's a bit of the industry ones I find a lot fun too, because it's definitely a sneak peek of things to come or things the industry is trying.
And that's sort of like World Tea Expo.
World Tea Expo, okay, that's in Vegas in May or June, depending.
And what is that one like?
It's 3 days. It's industry only. Like bloggers get in as press. And it's a lot of stuff that's not applicable to people. So it's like, if I want to buy like 10 kilos of Earl Grey, that's where I go. But there is a lot of vendors. Like they have a Chinese pavilion area where it's people trying to see, hey, I got pu'er now. Let's see if like how it's going to do with the North American audience and what kind of reactions we're going to get from the people who are looking to buy and resell at their tea store. So that's always kind of interesting to see what they're coming up with and a few experimental things.
So it sounds quite different from something like the Northwest Tea Festival or the
It's definitely more consumer-based.
Yeah. Okay. And Northwest Tea Festival is more kind of like vendors will set up different booths and you can walk around and
sample everything.
And you actually hosted a tasting this past year with white tea. What was your experience doing that?
Oh, it's interesting. I know you did one before years ago, but yeah, it was my first one. I drank like a shit ton of matcha to get it going.
Get hyped up.
Yeah, we had like 20 minutes to drink a couple teas. So I just ran through a bunch of like, I think white 2 teas, turtle dove, and 2 of aged whites from the Chinese tea shop in Vancouver. He has got a lot of interesting white teas.
Yeah.
Just to kind of compare like the way stuff ages.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. I didn't quite get into the tasting, but I was sitting in the back and I got to have some of the leftovers. So it went from new, which was turtle dove, to like sort of mid-aged to like an older.
Yeah, we had a 2000
that you had actually pre-boiled and brewed up like really dark. It was really tasty, medicinal. The last one was my style, as you can imagine.
Totally.
Yeah, Denny and I did one of those tastings way back when, and if you want to see a really bitter Denny video, you should watch the 5 saddest things that tea drinkers believe, or something like that. It's an old Inbetweenisode he did. He was not very happy with our crowd. The thing with these events is you get a very mixed crowd of people, and it's like it's hard to tell how much people know and stuff like that.
I got like some really weird questions, like, how is this tea not bad? It's old. And I'm like, oh no. I know there's it's weird when you're a tea blogger, because like a lot of your readers maybe have followed you for a while and kind of grew or maybe be at your skill level or learning to be there. Then you have people that are right in the beginning asking you questions, and you have to backtrack and kind of think, okay, how did I deal with this way back when? I haven't brought, I know a lot of tea vendors I've seen at these festivals. They have that skill to tell everyone walking by what pu'er is.
Yeah.
Every time. I have not developed that skill yet.
Yeah. I think you're right on there. It's like sort of hard to figure out what people, why people are there, why they chose to come to the event. Whereas like on like your site, you just write whatever and people generally know what to look for.
Or you link back to something like, that you wrote before that would kind of address more of a beginner thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, like I think Denny especially did not appreciate answering a lot of
Yeah.
questions on like health benefits and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, I don't
which
like
is
those.
which is what happened for our tasting as well.
Yeah, I got quite a few of those. I kind of weeded out because I think right up front I'm like, I'm not here to talk about health benefits of this. That's just how it tastes.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get that out of the way. But I definitely felt that with other festivals I've been to. It's like, so, oh, what is poor? Oh, why? Well, how is it good for you then? And I'm like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. So your blog also covers just a lot of different teas. It's like for TeaDB, for instance, it's easier to pigeonhole us as sort of like pooer or poo heads or something like that. But oolongowl.com, your site, covers a huge range. It's a lot of different teas. How do you think people's perception of what you drink might differ? Like, what do you drink? What are your favorites, and how do you think? I mean, it's hard to say if you were to just read your site what you drink more often.
Yeah, I'm kind of sneaky that way. I'm the type of person that I don't like to drink the same thing every day. So I definitely can drink 2 teas every day for a year, something every day. But I always drink something new every day. I don't like if I repeat something, I really like it, and usually that's when you go at it with a hammer, in my case. So a lot of times I drink like black tea in the morning, grandpa style. I have like a pu'er session or an oolong session in the afternoon, and my sneaky guilty pleasure is iced hibiscus at night. That's the one I actually drink quite regularly. And but yeah, I drink a lot of white, drink a lot of black. I don't drink much greens. I do drink a lot of matcha. I'm a weightlifter, so I drink matcha as my pre-workout like every day or before I'm driving. So to get me pumped up. But yeah, it's...
And you drink a lot of pu'er as well.
Drink a lot of pu'er. It's very seasonal and mood dependent on me. Like right now, it's getting cold and dreary in Seattle, so it's definitely a lot of ripe pu'er and black teas. Whereas the summer, I was like going through a lot of like spring oolong. Then there was I think around September was the month of just getting through all the young, ripe or raw pu'er and getting gut rotten.
How many grams do you think that adds up to approximately?
From my spreadsheet, I usually drink around 15 to 17 a day.
Okay.
That's been my average for the last 2 years.
Yeah, so it's not crazy, but it's probably
a little bit
slightly
higher
on the high end for most drinkers. I mean, that's a lot of different teas per day, but a lot of different consumption methods. Like hibiscus, obviously, is not like Camellia sinensis. So no caffeine or anything like that. Okay, very cool. Let's see.
But I think the thing with my blog is I do write about stuff I don't like to drink. And it's kind of interesting because I kind of write in a way where it's like trying to be as objective as I can to say, okay, this is how this tea is. And like this year I've been pretty upfront. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I tried it. I'm not going to buy it. But if you like this kind of way this tea presents, then that'd be for you.
And how do you feel like that content has been received?
Pretty well, I think, because it's like, I think a lot of writers like just to write like, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome all the time. And I kind of definitely want to be more honest about the stuff I drink.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff we drink that we kind of like, oh yeah, this is great, but I don't know, I'm not going to buy like a cake of it or a tongue of it, so whatever.
Yeah. One of the amusing things I remember I heard from you when you came back from, I think it was the World Tea Expo, was talking about like positive reviews and negative reviews, and some people in the industry believe that you should never give a negative review, and they see themselves, I guess, as like advocates for vendors or something like that. But it's a view that I frankly just quite disagree with. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Like, I think there's we all don't have the same taste, so if I can present something as objectively as possible and say like, hey, if you like this, hey, I don't like this, but the way this tastes or the way this makes you feel, you might like it. And I think like doing always positive stuff just kind of doesn't seem as honest. And I think it makes it a lot harder for a reader. Like when you find a blogger, usually the best thing to find is like, hey, something I like, and find what they wrote and they like it. Then you can kind of gauge their taste and follow. Or if I'm like more objective, it's a bit more bigger audience I can grab. Right. And it also helps me too. Like if I'm just always drinking stuff I like, I don't really learn much.
Right. And I think a lot of it just, for me at least, has to come down with like honesty. It's like, if you just say that you like everything equally or whatever, then it's like you end up being fairly meaningless and not terribly useful to people. And obviously it's different degrees of that. But like some teas you're just not gonna like, and you can frame it as in like, oh, this is something that maybe this person would like, which could be true, or it could just be like, oh, this tea
Or it's
wasn't
something
very
like
good.
to try next year when, like, the roast is settled or it aged a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Or,
So,
and also it's important when you look at other bloggers to see how they made it too.
Yeah.
To see if it's kind of going what you do as well, or you prefer to do.
Yeah, and I think with bloggers also, there's kind of an interesting dynamic with vendors, and I think you'll probably run into a lot of different thoughts on this. It's like people, like bloggers probably tend to know the vendors more so than like your average consumer would know the vendor. So it's kind of creates a complex relationship in some sense where it's like you don't want to like totally bash something or something like that. What advice would you give to maybe like someone that's starting out or something like that, that's like starting to email with vendors? Maybe they've gotten like a sample or two for free from one or two vendors. Like what would you say to that aspiring blogger?
Well, it depends how you roll your blog. If you're one that says, I don't have time to write about stuff I don't like, you just don't write about it. Or you can talk with the vendor openly on why, like some stuff, like maybe you didn't prepare it the way they wanted you to prepare the tea. Because that sometimes happens too. Or other times where it's like, sometimes it is the tea's fault. Like, I think most of the teas that come to me that are really, really bad are because they did a really poor job shipping things or packaging things. Like, I've gotten a stream is like people put loose leaf tea in a letter envelope and put it in the mail. And I get it, and they expect it to be good. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, being more really honest with the vendor. Say, hey, I don't want to... And then I kind of cover my butt and say, I don't guarantee a review. So if it's like, I don't think this is going to jive well, I won't write about it. I can talk with the vendor and see feedback I might have for them. But at the same time, I don't want to give them free advice. So
True. Yeah. So I guess framing the context and stuff like that is important. It's like...
And then, what your blog is. Exactly.
Yeah, it's sort of like, oh, I don't really drink this type of tea, but here's my moderately educated point.
Or if you have a blog that like hates everything, you could just say, oh, this is all crap.
Okay, well, this has been a real treat. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Where can people find you? What's some content that you're going to be releasing sometime this year or in the future?
Well, my blog is oolongowl.com. I'm on Instagram quite a bit. My Twitter is kind of there. My Facebook is kind of there.
Yes.
And my Snapchat is mostly me ranting. Content coming up, I have a lot of 2017 Puar reviews I'm trying to chog through. It's just a lot. I don't think I'm doing any more tea festivals this year. And definitely just kind of more wrapping up the 2017 teas.
And which vendors would those be from?
White 2 Tea, Crimson Lotus. I have a Bana tea coming up, and probably more Bana tea because I'm probably going to buy like a lot from her very soon. And
Bana tea just released some 2017
yeah,
stuff?
Bana tea just released some stuff. Floating Leaves, I do a lot of Floating Leaves because she's also local. So when like the next harvest comes up, that's definitely content I'm going to be writing about because I find that pretty interesting to compare different harvests and years.
Okay, awesome. Well, you should definitely check all those out. I will especially be paying attention to those 2017 raw Puar reviews. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next time actually with Char to drink some tea actually. So, cheers, guys.
Hey.